A very good morning to all my students. Hope all are doing fine. In this class of English 2, we will begin with a new poem today. The name of the poem is The Cold Within by James Patrick Kinney. James Patrick Kinney has composed this poem, The Cold Within, in the 1960s. This poem is a pointed comment on the lack of warmth, compassion in the human relations. 6 people, they are trapped by chance, but none of them agreed to put their stick in the dying fire. Rather, they agreed to invite death. Okay, so the poem, through the discriminatory acts of 6 humans, trying to show the human nature in general. This poem is written against the background of civil rights movement that took place between 1954 to 1968. The poet is against discrimination that has been exhibited in the poem, and he promotes equality in every spheres in society. So now let us begin the poem. It is full of implications and it is very much relevant in nowadays. Discrimination, selfishness, coldness, insensitivity, intolerance, prejudice, hatred, these are very much evident in this poem. Written in 1960s, this poem can be a true picture of today's society, because if we closely observe, all the human beings, their heart is full of such cold attitudes, and due to this, all this mishap is going on, happening every time, right? So let us begin. Hopefully the book is with you all. If you don't have, you can have this material available there in the study material section. So this material should be kept open in front of you, and have a pencil in your hand. Wherever I'll tell you, you just underline and write the figure of speeches. 6 humans trapped by happenstance. 6 humans, they are trapped. They are brought together not by their free will, but by their fate. In bleak and bitter cold, the weather was bleak, it's not very pleasant, and it was bitter cold all around. Each one possessed a stick of wood. Each one of them were possessing a stick of wood, or so the story is told. So against this background, the story is told. So what was the background? 6 humans, they were brought together by their fate, and all of them were holding a piece of wood or a stick of wood. And against this, in a bleak and barren wintry night, and none of them were willing to give that. Against this background, the story is told. Now, even if this is a poem, here it is written like a story. This is called narrative technique. Okay, it seems like a poetic tale. And in bleak and bitter cold, bleak and bitter, you can see BB, this is alliteration. What is alliteration? It is a close repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of the words, right? So let us proceed to the next stanza. Their dying fire in need of logs. So the fire seems to be dead very soon, and it is in need of logs. The fuel is required very much to retain its flame. But the first one held hers back. The first one of the group held hers back. Hers, by this we can understand she was a woman, right? So she was not willing to give her own, and she just holds it back. For of the faces round the fire, she noticed one was black. Why was she unwilling so? Because she found one in that group present was of black complexion. Now you can understand this is the evil of racism. So she just hates someone who is of black color, and that is why she decided not to put her own one. The next man, looking across the way, saw one not of his church. The next man, looking across the way, she found one who does not belong to his church. Here you will see this is religious intolerance, who does not belong to the same religion, okay, and could not bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. So this was the fact that actually restricted him not to put his stick in the dying fire. So what we have seen in the first stanza, the woman who hates the man as he belongs to that group of the black complexioned, that is why she decides not to give. The second stanza shows that religious intolerance was very much present in the man's heart. So that is why when he found the man was not of his religion, he decides not to give his own. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. So as it was a wintry night, the man who sat in tattered clothes, tattered means torn out or worn out clothes. So by this we can understand he was poor, right? So he just gave his coat a hitch, means a jerk, in order to get the warmth from the coat. Why should his log be put to use to warm the ideal rich? See, but he decides not to put his log in the fire because it will provide warmth to the man who belongs to the well-off family, who was a rich man. So he decides not to give his own the minimal means to provide some warmth. Okay, it will be of no worth to the rich, right? He has everything. So what can he do with his just one stick of wood, and that to provide warmth to the man who already belongs to a rich and wealthy family? The rich man just sat back and thought. Now, diametrically opposite to the poor man, here we come to meet the rich man. The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store. So the rich one was thinking about how much wealth he has in the store and how to keep that safe, right? And how to keep what he had earned, how to keep safe what he has earned from the lazy and shiftless poor. He should save this to get lost for the shiftless and lazy poor. Lazy here, by this he can suggest somehow lazy shows that the poor category, they themselves are responsible for their state of being poor, right? Because lazy, as if they are lazy enough to overcome their position. And shiftless means lack of energy and lack of ambition to do something better in life. So they were destined to remain in that state as they were shiftless and lazy. The black man's face bespoke revenge. Now the chance falls to the black man's hand, who was a victim of racism. Because in the second stanza we have learned there was a woman present in the group who dislikes the man, as the man belongs to the black complexion people. So that is why now the chance comes to him, whose face bespoke revenge, who shows his revengeful nature. As the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spy the white. So the stick of wood to him meant only one chance to spy the white. Okay, because this is the time to show how much revengeful he can be against the action of the woman, right? So this stick of wood does not seem to him as a chance to get over their situation, as a chance to provide some warmth to each other and to save their lives, right? Rather, he only has seen this is a chance to show my hatred towards the woman. The last man of this fallen group. Now the poet passes a judgment. Okay, the poet passes a judgment to the group. The last man of the fallen group. By this word fallen group, it is a figure of speech in which apparently contradictory terms appear in conjunction. So fallen is what? Fallen is lonely, sad, after being abandoned. And group we can understand it is a group, it is a state of being together. So even if they were together, they were sitting together, they all were very much concerned about their own self, and that is why they all were lonely being in a group. So this is a figure of speech called oxymoron. Did not accept for gain. So that man was truly concerned about gaining things only. Who? The last man. Giving only to those who gave. So he was very much selfish and self-contented. He will give only to those, was how he played the game. So he will be agreed to give his stick of wood to those only who also did the same. So it is a type of give and take policy. If you don't give, why should I? So no one in this group is willing to give theirs. So why should I? I should also stop or restrict myself by not to giving. Their logs held tight in death's steel hands. They all were holding their piece of wood tight in their hand, death's steel hand. Now death's steel hand is another figure of speech. It is called personification. It is a figure of speech where the abstract ideas or the inanimate objects were endowed with the quality of human beings. Here the abstract idea is death, right? And hand is something that is one of the attributes of humans. So these two are put together. So death's hand. So here the abstract word death, that is being personified, right? Who was the proof of human sin? Proof of human sin. What is human sin? Human sin is disobedience to God's commandment. Means, what does God say? Love thy neighborhood as thyself. So you all should love your neighborhood as you love yourself. So if you don't do that, you are committing a sin. And here the poet is talking about that's human sin committed by all of them. They did not die from the cold without. Even if there was freezing cold outside, they did not die for that cold without. They died from the cold within. They died due to the apathy towards each other, because they remain very cold, okay, towards each other. You will see all the qualities like selfishness, discrimination, hatred, intolerance, prejudice. These are very evident in all the 6 men, and which shows the true picture of today's society, because we will hardly get people who are lovable to each other, who just talk in a very sweet manner, who are always there to help each other, who are very much sympathetic to each other, tries to feel the human pain. No, you will not find such people nowadays, because these qualities have already engulfed them with its evil hands. So even if they want, they cannot get out, and the poet is strictly against this discriminatory acts, and he wants to promote equality, right? Quite an easy poem to decipher. You will get all the explanations and translations there in the study material section. You can take help of those. So read the poem thoroughly. We will discuss about its title and themes and other things in the next class. For today's class, only the reading of the poem is important. Do read the poem, and if you have any difficulty, please do mention. And okay, so we'll meet in the next class. Till then, do study well, take care of yourself, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.